Hey, and essentially on top of that page, the second line, that's approximately where we're going to start. There was a a subtle principle that we try to expose us to actually get to sense of what this is about. The Rebbe says, brings down from Tanya, that a word is composed of letters. Each letter has a chayas of its own. And it is drawn from its source with this chayas. Then afterwards, these letters are joined together with other letters that comprises a word which has a chayas of its own. And that chayas is really superior to the chayas of each one of these letters. It is on that score, on that level that we're discussing this chayas that is nimshach after the combination. How do we pin this down? What do we mean by the chayas that comes after the combination, as a result of the combination?
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
So, the flow of the topic we're discussing all through here is to understand the effect of the tzimtzum.
Right.
How does this relate to that?
The tzimtzum is identified in the fact that each ois by itself is a reduction of the ois, to the point where you can actually present each ois by itself. That's a tzimtzum. Although the letter belongs together with other letters, but you spring it off, and you have a qualified, a limited ois. The difficulty that we are facing, and I would like that we should, like everything else, we should recognize. And this is very subtle. That each ois is hamshochas chayes miyuchad. Each ois is hamshocha of a unique chayes. What does it mean that the ois has a chayes is a chayes? To us, an ois is like we said, it's a stone. When you have multiple oises, you have a chayes, you have a word. What's the chayes in the ois? A chayes miyuchad, a unique chayes. So to expose this principle, we used an illustration, a moshul from a different arena, which is also very similar to oisius and a word. That is, we said that if you have a structure, a table, that's a word. which is composed of multiple oisias, such as all the components of the table. When all the components of the table come together, you have a table. And as we speak all the time, that a table it really is is an exposition of a nefesh quality, of a human nefesh quality. And it originates in the nefesh order. At a very high and a more significant source.
And that's why we're going from a word to a table.
Because a table gives us a better handle, a means to understand the significance of a letter.
I think we had it yesterday, and I didn't catch.
Okay, you didn't catch. That's good.
Both
That's why we're coming back to it.
I mean, both the word and the table are originating high in human reality.
Right.
They both made up of components.
Right.
And
The focus is on the component. The Rebbe says, "Kol ois hamshoches chayes miyuchad." Is the component a chayes?
Right. And yesterday we had the leg of the table can be metal, it can be wood. So fine. And
not fine.
So,
What was the point of that?
yeah. This miyuchad probably, right?
What is the point? The point of that is that we see that there is a chayes in the leg.
Right. What might you have thought that?
You might thought that the leg is only when it is part of the table. It's a leg. It doesn't have a chayes of its own.
Oh, you may think like, what, the raw materials by themselves have no kiyum, have no chayes.
Have no chayes, no meaning.
But yes, everything has, the wood, the metal, all has meaning. The wood is different from metal. Each has its own chayes, right?
Each component has its own chayes. And this is the difficulty that we face. Where is the component have a chayes?
But again, I'm not sure I'm seeing why that is so difficult. Meaning, we started with a word.
So what's an aleph? What's the chayes of an aleph? How is an aleph different than a Beis?
Well, these are, I mean, like we learn, each one has a different form, a different energy, different meaning.
What's the energy behind an aleph? That's exactly what we're trying to identify.
Specifically, what's the energy of an aleph?
Yeah. Chayes miyuchad.
Chayes miyuchad. I mean, we've said specific special things about an aleph. For example, when the child learns the aleph, he sees the water carrier, or you have the yud above.
That's a means for him to identify it.
Or we say the yud above and the yud below, the line that connects them.
Actually, that's something extraneous to the letter of aleph. This is a means to identify it.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the chayes of an aleph? There's a chayes miyuchad. You're probably right. I shouldn't even go there. Nobody's bothered by it, so I should go straight through it.
I'll tell you, you're opening up something to me in any case.
But before we go there, this that it's miyuchad. I mean, it does seem apparent that every letter is different, every material is different. So I'm not sure.
You relate to that.
Of course, you relate to it.
In what way?
Like we said yesterday, aesthetically, or the feel for what this creation is versus that creation.
This is what I'm trying to expose us. You're jumping around. We said yesterday that we see the chayes in the letter in the fact that if the leg of a table is built of metal rather than of wood, it has a different effect on the person.
He relates to it differently.
Literally differently. That means that there's a chayes, a unique chayes in the leg, in the ois.
Right.
So you ask, what is this about? This is what it's about.
But that seems apparent.
Not apparent, not at all.
Okay.
Did you originally think that there's a difference with what the leg is made of?
Sure. When I look at different materials, I have a different feel.
That's when you're being pointed to it.
No, if I look at
All right, fine. So you
silk,
got
or
it.
you look
Okay,
at
finish.
canvas, or you look at.
All right, fine. Okay. So therefore, I shouldn't talk about it.
No, I'm just.
I agree.
I'm just trying to see if I'm missing the point, or if I'm getting. If
You're
I'm
not
missing
missing.
or getting the
I'm
point.
pointing out. I'm pointing out that each letter or each component has a chayes of its own, besides of being of constructing the final product.
Okay.
Where do we see that? We see that the final product, how we use the final product, how we relate to it, makes a difference to us what the component is made of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is it okay now?
I could be jumping off the page also, but I thought that at one point you said that when you introduced the parak from Tanya, as you explained to us as the Rebbe brings it, that there the Alter Rebbe is telling us how the creation of the world happens through a combination of letters. Is this significant to this, or is this off track?
It's not off track. This is how it. This is the overall principle there, but we are focused on a narrow aspect of this principle.
Right, but what this discussion helps me to sense is that when the Eibishter works with letters to make the world, quote unquote, works with letters to make the world, so this is he's doing because each one has a chayes miyuchad. It's that he creates the world and its creations through letters and combinations. This is due to the fact that each of the letters has a chayes miyuchad. Is that off?
When you say due to the fact,
He gives each one a chayes miyuchad. He brings down into each letter a chayes
and
miyuchad.
what's significant of that?
That it's coming from him, and he endows it with its chayes miyuchad.
Okay, so what's the significance of the fact that each has a chayes miyuchad? Ultimately, you have a creature.
Okay. All right. So you want more out of that than just the creature.
That's what the Rebbe is focusing on.
So okay. So I have no idea where that's going.
Okay. Wow. Are you interested?
Very
You're interested?
much.
Tell me, and I'll go straight through.
No, I'm very interested to know.
So I'm innocent. I said to me yesterday, I'm a fool to get into this.
No, you're a fool to show up here in the morning with this group that you're dealing with.
Can I try something?
I'm innocent. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, Baruch. Tell me I'm a fool, and I'll go straight through. I accept that. I won't be insulted.
I'm the last person that wants to tell you you're a fool. Here's my thought, if this is helpful. So this whole point about a chayes miyuchad to each place, as it relates back to the whole discussion about is that you might think that whatever order there was or is in this higher order that's higher than all of them, that's where the order is. The order is not in any particular ice. So this, if that's true, this would negate the whole distaff butchery, which it isn't. This would negate the whole idea that we've been talking about, which is that even though there's a tzimtzum and there's a miyut ha'oyer, a miyut ha'oyer doesn't mean no oyer. It means a miyut ha'oyer. It means a reduction. If that's true, then even in the lowest level, here the Taftainu, not the search fucking, there's oyer. And this is the oyer that we're trying to be more specific about understanding what that oyer is. Does that relate to what we're talking about?
But you have to take it a step further. What's the difference?
Right.
What's the difference? You have the overall oil. Like you said, you have a table. What's the difference what the table is made of?
Because the world can't relate to an overall oyer.
So you
In the world.
you make a form of a noise. Makes no difference whether he has a chayas or not a chayas. The main thing is it serves the word.
No, but I thought the main thing is not that it serves the world,
The word.
but that it serves the word. Okay. But the main thing is that it in itself is meaningful, is godly.
What's the point
Very
in that?
detailed.
What's the point in that?
Okay. And that's what we're trying to explain.
That's right. That's right.
Because that is true.
What's the point?
So I don't know yet.
Okay. This is
That's
what
you're trying
this is
to-
what we spent
that's
time
what you're
yesterday and the
trying
day
to
before
explain.
on. Okay. Okay. Give it back. Give the table back to the fool.
I'm like they say in the Senate, I cede my time back to the chairman.
It is very, very important. This is what we study our whole life. There's a difference between how a human being relates to a word or a robot relates to a word. Human being is called a medaber. Wait a second. I have a robot, that's also a medaber. How did you get such a title? So to expose us to this Indian, it exposes us, but then we have to think for ourselves and try to relate to it. That in fact every component has a chayes of its own. And that enriches the final product. Even on the final product, you use it as a final product, like a table. And yet, there is a subtle recognition of what the components are made of. Because each component contributes something to the final product in its own right. Besides that, it's part of the final product. This is the point that we. So I mean, what do you say about that? Okay, we're getting there.
That's better.
Huh?
That's better.
So we pointed out, as a matter of fact, it's a very interesting phenomenon. So the innocent argued, I don't have to be told it. I knew it all the time. That there's a difference to us as we're using the table, whether we're using a table, and the table is covered up with a tablecloth. I'm using a table. The difference with the table is a mahogany table with mahogany legs, or it is a piece of steel. And we asked yesterday, what is it that we sense that's a difference? What's the difference? No.
It's the purpose.
Shemiasim refuses to go there. He says to me, fool, go weiter and finish. Okay, let's go weiter.
The purpose of the material, what it's meant for. That's the whole point. That's what we just said about the individual kayfis to be also what they are. And here it's
I'm not asking you, I'm asking Shemiasim.
I know. The wood versus the metal.
What? Yeah, the wood versus the metal.
We went into this yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
That
We
wood
did.
we said. I mean, wood we said inside was something that was made to be a leg. It almost grew in that form, and then it was brought to the table.
And therefore-
Asher Einken
and
by
therefore-
the metal in contrast.
That's right.
So
And
you-
therefore, what's the difference?
So you may feel like it's more appropriate, or it's more for indoor use. You feel like
Excuse me,
it's
what is the
made-
difference?
It was made
No,
for this
that's
purpose.
not what we said. What did we say? So I know it's subtle. Why am I, again, I'm a fool of pushing it that way. I'd like you to sense these in your. It brings you into a living world, not just in a functional world.
I mean, there was a whole discussion about if it grew this way and was made for this purpose,
And therefore,
it's like more fitting. And then there was a counterpoint that everything in the world is made for man to perfect it. So if he makes it out of metal, that's also fitting.
all right, let me take over. Okay, you're never going to get out of this. When we sense the origin of something, and we say that in its final product, there's an origin that comes with it, then it gives us a sense of reality and relating to the origin. One of the principles, the most important principles of how we look at the world and how the world looks at the world. You see, this exactly the same world. Exactly the same world. The difference is, they see the world as a final product. We see the origin of the world. Which is Bora Elokim L'Shamayim V'Zoros. There's an origin to it. Therefore, there is a purpose and a will in its presence. That's the whole difference. Is that a significant difference? Can we relate to that? Can we sense as human beings this difference? The truth is that we were immunized by the worldly onslaught to we lose sense of the human reality. That's exactly what you're trying to counter. Yeah, it makes a difference. And by recognizing this difference, this is how we get into the highest of Yiddishkeit, of Torah. We point out many things along these lines. The Torah says, walking up onto Mizbeach, you must not have steps. You must have a straight ramp. What's the difference? Don't make a fool out of me. What's the difference? So the Torah says, because if you walk up steps, you're spreading your legs. You're acting disrespectfully to the steps. The steps. Who cares about the steps? It is these subtle aspects that we need to open up to. In order to understand that each ois has amsochas chayes meyuchad, there's no way you can understand that. A letter is a component that I make to fit into the word. So, okay, having been the fool that I am, I see that there is a resistance, and a mamash resistance to the whole thing. So I wanted to expose, to bring in an element that we already agreed on before. And this is something which we were all much more able to relate to. Our similar subtlety. And that is, we said, that a person has a better rest on a cot in his own home than on a cushion mattress in a hotel. Which is really a phenomenal thing. How do you understand that? And yet, when proposed, everybody was able to relate to this principle. Right, Shaminism? What's the principle? What's behind it? Hotel is a strange principle. I don't belong here. A hotel is not made for me, and I don't belong here. It's not. I have a very superficial relationship to this place. So who can benefit, who can relate to this? My feet, my head, my body. But it doesn't give me a spirit of rest, a feel of rest. The minute a person comes into his home, he has a feel of rest before he even sits down. Because this place presents to me a fundamental right of being in this world, not just a practical and a function. And therefore I relate to a much richer aspect of existence. Not just to the functional and practical, but to reality. This is what we mean by reality. This is what the Gemara says, Odom she'ein yodom Beis, ein yodom. Ein Beis. So he sleeps in a hotel. He sleeps in the street. Ein yodom. Because Odom, by definition, has been entrusted with the world. That's the definition of the human being. If he doesn't have that aspect, it's any other. This is the aspect that we are focusing in on this. We're saying every ois has a hamshocha. Hamshocha means a drawing of chayes miyuchad. It doesn't have a chayes when it becomes an ois, and it serves a word. It's a hamshocha of chayes miyuchad. It has a root. And because of this root, because of the power of this root, this is why the letters create something, and this is why the composition of the letters further create. So let me answer. Where are you up to?
Okay.
Excuse me? Is there a difference between the way you relate to a letter and the way a robot relates to a letter? There is. I'm not going to ask you to explain to me, but I'd like you to focus in and see what the difference is. And if there's a difference, then there's a difference in what's its composition. That's why I get the emotion from the table. The table is a tangible thing. You can readily relate to it, identify what it is, and a regular table is a regular table.
Ay, 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 ay.